decision at the end of that. At the end of the public excluded session. Also, I want to note that names of victims and witnesses should not be used. They're not recorded in any of the evidence. So, and also, Joe will make sure we don't use any names of witnesses or victims. Do note that we have media present. Welcome, the media. Declaration of conflict of interest. Do any of the three of us have any conflict?
No.
No conflict. Confirmation of the agenda. Well, the agenda is pretty straightforward, but I'll have to move that the agenda be confirmed without additional or alteration. I'll have seconded.
Yep.
Kevin, all in favour?
Yep.
Okay, so how this works is, even though it's a formal hearing, we're all sitting around the table together. What will happen is I'm going to now just ask for everyone to introduce themselves so we know who's around the table. So call for appearances.
So I'm Carrie, I'm the Animal Control Manager.
And I'm Lily, with Animal Control Officer.
Yeah.
And I'm Alice, I'm a lawyer for council in their legal team.
Okay, so I assume you must be Mr. Cameron McDonald.
Yeah, that's me.
And you're on your own?
That's me.
Right, yeah. So what happens is we're going to hear from the reporting officer and the animal control officer. There'll be opportunity for the panel to ask some questions. You don't get the right to cross-examine. Then we'll hear from you. We've got your written submission. I'll hear from you. We might ask you questions. There won't be any cross-examination from the staff. After that, we'll hear what's the final closing from the staff, and then you get the final say after you've heard everything what you want to close with, and then we'll most probably go into, or we will go into public excluded to discuss and make a decision. Okay, that all makes sense? Right, so we'll start with the reporting officer summary.
Yeah.
An animal control officer.
So today the hearing will address the objection regarding the dangerous classification of THAD. THAD was classified as dangerous following an incident regarding a dog on human attack on Tuesday, the 5th of November, 2024. Under Section 33B of the Dog Control Act 1996, an owner has the right to object to a classification within 14 days. This hearing provides the owner with a chance to express their perspective before the panel. The panel can evaluate under Section 31.4 of the Dog Control Act 1996. The evidence that formed the classification, assess the owner's preventative measures against potential threats, and consider any other relevant matters. And the panel may either uphold or rescind the classification based on their assessment. Okay, so we've also got your written report here on the dog attack on the 5th of November, which is more detail. Got a few questions. Have you got any questions for him?
Yeah, I got one. Yeah, thanks for the report. It does mention there's been 2 roaming dog offences recorded on THAD's history from 2001 to 2000. 2021 to 2022. I know roaming is, or the word roaming is quite self-explanatory, but can you just give me some clarity around what the roaming offences are, or what is roaming? As just for clarity, that's all for me.
Yeah, so a roaming dog is when it's come off the owner's property and is roaming. In this case, it was both cases were in residential areas, which the public had seen and called us to come out and collect the dog and take that to the owner.
So it helps among the community without an owner or anybody in control of that dog.
Thank you.
What is the outcome when that happens?
What is it?
When you've recorded those offences, what happens from that? Is there an outcome from that, or
Case by case, were you talking about the specific?
well, just generally, yeah.
In general, it's a case by case. So we use the enforcement strategy, education through enforcement. So you generally start that education phase and work our way through to infringements, depending on the varying aspects of the situation.
Thanks. Just a couple of things. So just to clarify again, the witness or the victim doesn't take any part in these in a appeal hearing.
Correct.
Yeah. But are they advised that there is an appeal occurring,
That-
and they're advised on the outcome?
They are asked to come. To,
If they, yeah, if
So
they're
they are
not
invited.
ready to, if they want to.
but the complainants declined
Right.
this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So they are typically, as a rule, they are invited to attend if they wish, or
Sorry,
in a case by
can I
case as well.
clarify, have they declined?
In
Is that
this
right,
case,
Karen?
they had,
Yeah,
they
in
had
this
signed in this instance,
Okay.
but yeah, it's not a general that they're given that they come along to these hearings.
Yeah.
Generally, it is the dog owner's opportunity to have their say, so it's not really a like a normal court situation where you hear from both parties. But there is opportunity for us to bring them along if we think it would be beneficial. But it's this hearing is in particular for the dog owner to have their say.
Yep.
If that makes sense.
Understanding. The other question I had was, and I think I might have asked this previously at another hearing, but the breed determination. I think last time you said that's just taken as what's recorded when the dog is registered. Is that right? Yeah. Is there any verification? I can't remember whether you said there's any verification of, just, I guess the reason I ask is that there's some variation in how the breed in this instance is being recorded. In the way through the report.
We legally have to use whatever is the registered dog, and that is what the owner determines the dog to be. The only time that we ever get any proof of a breed is if there's a dog that needs classified due to its breed.
Right.
And we can classify without that need for us to know what kind of breed it is. If we believe it is predominantly that breed, we can. But the owner would then have to supply proof to prove that it wasn't.
Yeah.
But it's not a normal situation for owners to go through a DNA process to work out breeds of dogs.
So when a dog is registered, I don't have a dog, but does the dog control officer see the dog, or is it just a form that's filled out?
It's filled out.
Okay. Yeah, nothing more from me at this stage.
Okay, just a couple of things, you did some door knocking on neighbours for witnesses. Did you talk to anyone else?
No, no one else. No one came forward.
The 4-hour delay from the time 4:30 it's reported the attack took place, and then 8:38 Cougar receives a request for an attack. What is that, the delay from a complainant putting in the request, or is that the delay in someone responding to it?
A delay in the respondent, because I believe he was at the hospital.
So it wasn't reported to us.
Until that later hour, okay. Okay, yeah, you've reported there, when you visited, Mr. McDonald, you said that was not aggressive towards you when you visited that.
Yeah,
correct?
that's correct.
Okay. And your bit about the injuries being classified minor, that comes off the hospital report, was it? Or did you get that from us somewhere else?
What, sorry?
When you mentioned here the injuries could be classified as minor, was that taken from the hospital report, was it?
Yes, and also me visually seeing the injuries.
Okay,
When
so what stage did you see the injuries?
when I went to do the statement,
Is that the next day?
which would have been the next day with Michael, yeah, with the victim.
Okay, so from your seeing the injuries, obviously, were they look like they were fresh injuries?
Yes,
Were they covered up?
yes.
Right. You got anything else you want to add? Any further questions?
Not from me, no, thank you, Chair.
No.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your report. Okay, we're going to now hear from Mr. McDonald. We've got your, let's pull it up, we've got your written.
There wasn't one supplied.
Huh?
There hasn't been one supplied.
We've got the appeal request.
the appeal request you have,
Yeah.
there's no written submissions that have been supplied. That we're aware of.
There was a officer report.
That's from us.
So
I don't believe Cameron has submitted anything to you, if that's what you're looking for.
other than the letter asking for.
Letter.
Mhm.
Sorry, what do you mean? We've got a letter here from Mr.
You've
McDonald.
got a letter, but there's
Yeah.
no written submissions that have been.
No, sorry, yeah, okay, I'm with
Yeah.
you, okay,
Sorry.
just trying to find it, that's. Okay, Mr. McDonald, your turn. Yeah, you've heard what the reporting I've said, you know the situation, we've read your letter.
Yep.
And now's your turn to explain to us why you objected to this classification.
That's what I put in the appeal. That stuff that's written in there. It's just saying how I don't agree with it, because I was there when it happened, I hadn't seen,
Sorry, you don't agree because you hadn't seen,
I didn't see that my dog attacked the person when I was standing there on my lawn. Yeah, I was there when it all happened. Sorry, I'm just, I've never been in here before.
that's why, no, you relax a little bit, I just want to hear from you, okay, you wrote it down, so you were mowing the lawns, just tell us what was going on.
I was mowing the lawns and that bloke walked past with his dog. My dog was sleeping under the truck in the shade and walked down the driveway to see them. And then, so I just walked down to see what was going on, and then he just kind of started not yelling, but he was definitely pretty upset and telling me to go tie my dog up. And I tried to ask what was happening, and he just turned around and walked off. But yeah, I've seen the photos of what happened, but there was no blood when I was there. I looked on the driveway afterwards and hadn't seen anything.
Do you, the victim, have you seen him walking down that road or no, or had anything to do with them previously?
I've never had anything to do with them.
You mentioned in your letter that other people came and saw you to talk to you.
Yeah,
Have you met them or known them before?
I'd never met them before that.
Did they introduce themselves, who they were?
No, they were quite aggressive when they came up my property.
Like, talking about the attack?
Yeah, well, towards me and my dog.
You mentioned there, the dog's obviously a pet dog, do you use it for anything else?
He's a deer indicating dog as well.
So what does that mean when you go hunting, you points
He
deer?
points them out and sniffs them out, yeah.
And since the classification, you've been adhering to the requirements of a dangerous dog,
Yeah.
so that, have you been hunting since then?
Yes, I have.
Have you got to open up the rest of the panel to ask any questions? If you've got any questions you'd like to clarify and find out.
So you said in your letter that you don't keep them in the front yard without being on a leash anymore, you keep them in the backyard, is that?
Yep.
Yeah,
Backyard's fenced.
but prior to that, he would quite often be in the front yard.
If I was doing yard work or in the garage.
And mentioned that you saw the dog go down the driveway.
Yeah.
But you didn't see, he must have been unsighted for a bit. maybe.
It's all in view, the front lawns above the shared driveway. I was standing there and he was right there, like a couple of meters below me.
Right. Yeah, so in your recollection, you saw your dog head down that way, but you didn't see any particular action,
No,
but you might not have seen it, but had occurred.
I was in plain view the whole time.
Yeah, and you've never had any dealings with these other people before?
No.
Okay. I think there was mention one of the statements that your dog had been involved in an attack on another dog, but was never reported. Do you have any information on that?
I have no idea, I haven't been told anything.
Have you taken any other measures since this happened, other than keeping them in the backyard or on a leash, probably in the front yard? Anything else you've done? Or?
The backyard is fully fenced, there's a kennel and run, if I'm not around, there's in that, or if my housemates aren't there, is in that.
Right.
So it's always under control.
Okay. And it's probably in here, I can't remember what it said. How old is that?
4.
4 down here. Yeah. It was 3 years and 11 months, wasn't it, at the time, something like that. And have you had, before that, have you had other dogs previously, or?
Not personally, just family and friends.
Right. Okay. You've only got the one dog currently. No other questions from me.
We just touched on with the officer around, those 2 previous roaming offences. So you talk about your dog generally being in the backyard.
Yep.
And this alleged offence, is there difficulty in having your dog controlled, i.e. in the backyard, when you look at these 2 roaming offences, alleged roaming offences?
No, I think those happened.
Is there a history of them escaping?
No, it was when we just moved into this new house and there was a gate, so people, when they're coming around, kept accidentally leaving the gate open. And those were when he had just walked out, I think because it was a new environment, he was a bit too curious.
Made the most of an opportunity.
I think so, yeah.
I'm just trying to get some clarity around what you've put here. If I can just read, just bear with me, and hopefully you can help me out about the 2 different men involved here. I'll just start with, so I was mowing my front lawn when I observed an older man walking a small dog down the private driveway in front of my residence. And he especially did not know the man. Thad was sleeping, the man crossed the driveway. Thad approached the smaller dog to say hello. When I approached the gentleman, he picked up his dog and walked away. Approximately 15 minutes later, a different man approached me on my front lawn and in a rude and aggressive tone said words to the effect, "I want to put your dog down," and then walked away. Who were the second man?
I don't know who they are.
First man was the man who was allegedly attacked.
Yeah.
Second man,
I don't know who the people are, but he came back again that time.
you have no idea who he was or
No, I don't know.
whether he was an associate of first man.
I can only assume that they're friends, I think.
Cool. And you've submitted a little bit about Thad's history, and I guess it's about Thad and his manner and his behaviour.
Yeah.
But you talk about, this is out of character. And then you look at the alleged offence which occurred and what's following on. But there's been no, it's like nothing's happened. Thad's just gone back to being, allegedly going back to being his normal self. So this is something you view as being totally out of character.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So just want to get your thoughts on it. You got to see what we're looking at here. A dog, man's walking down the road with his dog. Another dog runs out. You are there. The dogs have reported in the area. You don't know the man. So something happened. Somehow or other, is it just a dog bit him? The only other dog there is that. It's not as though there's no reason why this man, because you don't know him, would suggest make it all up. So you can see what we're confronted with here.
Yeah.
What are the options? You're saying your Thad wouldn't do it, but he's the only dog there. The victim is injured. He has a dog with him. He's reported fresh injuries. It's just trying to understand what the alternative is and why you think, because you haven't given us any sort of information that would indicate that there's a vindictive thing going on here. Someone's trying to set you up and all that sort of thing. So you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that?
You asked if I know them, I don't know them. My housemates have said that they've walked past them before while they're sitting on the deck. And I would have to ask them what they said, but like they kind of pointed at them and cursed and whatnot. But I wasn't there, I don't know what had happened there. But I personally haven't had run-ins with them before, but.
Okay.
And I know the guy got cuts in his arms. Could it have been his puppy with his claws when he was picking him up? It'd be that simple, but he's had really sharp claws. Is that not?
Yeah, yeah, he had injury. What about the injuries on the face?
My dog didn't jump up. But he said he was carrying his dog, but not being his own.
Right.
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah, sure,
If I may?
yeah.
Thank you. Just following on from what I was talking about before and a little bit about what Councillor Cox has said. Thad has no history of aggression towards any person, stock, poultry, domestic animal or protected wildlife. The allegations against that are completely out of character and do not accord with its nature and manner, which we've touched on. You have mentioned to us that he is a deer spotter.
Yeah.
Not being a hunter-gatherer. And I guess once again, it's probably self-explanatory. Can you tell me what role does a dog play as a deer spotter? What mannerisms does he have to show?
So he doesn't chase or grab, it's like more of like a slow sneak in with the wind in the right direction. And then indicates them, so can kind of like point them out to a degree. And so yeah, he's not a threat to other, like what I say, other wildlife and poultry, because he's trained not to go up to them essentially.
Thank you. So
Any more questions? Yep.
No, I guess, I had a similar question to you. I was going to ask you if you had, given the information and the evidence we've got, whether you had any other rational explanation for how the wounds were caused.
Okay. Right, so we're going to hear now any further comments from the animal control officer, reporting officers, and then when you've heard that, then you get a final say if you want to say anything else based on what you hear, okay? Right.
So just a bit of a final summary, I guess, is that the sole collective panel needs to ask themselves whether this dog constitutes a threat to any person, animal, and the rest, based on the objective evidence that you've got in front of you. We have got a sworn statement, which is done under oath, and it's a promise to tell the truth, that this dog was the dog that was involved in this attack. And we've also got hospital records that show that there is a bite mark. There's bite marks on this person. And I think we've also got both statements aligning or consistent from each other. So all of these statements are actually placing the same dog at the same place. And we've got some really clear evidence backing up what has taken place here. So I think the panel needs to really determine whether this dog is a threat as per the Dog Control Act.
Thank you. Right. You've heard what was said then. Have you got any final words before we?
The sworn statement thing, I briefly flipped through everything, and in his statement it said that he had over 10 wounds or something, but then the doctor's one said that there was 3. So that's.
So I said, in his sworn statement, he said,
I think in his statement it says there's 10 wounds or something on his body, but in the doctor's one there's only 3.
okay.
Yeah, so I don't know what else to say.
Okay, that's right. Right. So now we've heard from everyone now. The intention is that I'm going to move that the public be excluded from the deliberations of the hearing panel. Do we have a second? Gavin, all in favour? Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go into public excluded. We're going to deliberate and we'll come up with a decision, and there will be a written decision sent out. You'll be notified when that's made public, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.